Experts and civil society representatives have emphasized that consistent transparency in implementing the Petroleum Industry Act can attract long-term investments and ease tensions in Nigeria's oil-producing regions. Well, this was the call that was made during a one-day stakeholder meeting organized by the Center for Social Justice, Equity, and Transparency in partnership with Shafana Enterprises Limited. Now, the forum brought together policy experts, petroleum law scholars, traditional rulers, students, and civil society groups, all to assess the ongoing implementation of the PIA and identify areas for improvement, particularly in transparency, regulatory oversight, and community engagement. In his keynote address, Dr. Henry Efemona Iduje of the Federal University of Petroleum Resources in Efurum commended the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission for their efforts in improving transparency in the oil and gas sector. He highlighted the commission's strides in ending opaque practices, including transparent licensing rounds and clear fiscal disclosures. Well, for more insight on the gains, the challenges, and of course the future of the Petroleum Industry Act, 4 years after its passage, we have public policy expert Jonathan Onoja now joining me here on Newsday.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Perfect. So looking back at the past 4 years, how would you characterize the overall progress of the PIA's implementation? Have they met the initial expectations or fallen short, in your opinion?
All right. Thank you so much. The PIA implementation has actually brought another hope for the Nigerian people, especially in the oil and gas sector. And then I think we also need to give a background history of the implementation of some of these reforms for Nigerians to also appreciate key actors in these reforms and all of the policies. First, I want to first commend His Excellency, the former President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, former President Muhammadu Buhari, for taking it upon himself to enacting that PIA into law. I also commend the 9th National Assembly for the wonderful job they are doing. And also, I also thank all the key stakeholders for ensuring that these reforms are well implemented. And I won't take it for granted, the silent achiever, the key driver of these reforms, and that is the Chief Executive of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Engineer Benga Komolafe, for the impactful leadership, the transparency that he has brought into the oil and gas sectors. Talking about some of these policies and the implementations, today we are beginning to enjoy that true partnership from even foreign investors coming in now. And we see that the implementations of the midstream and also the downstream, where license issuings and all of the things that contains in their own responsibilities are published on their portals. Today, you know the actual contract that is made between those coming in, the license that they have given out, tracking the real issues to give accountability and transparency in our oil sectors, not in the past, where we don't know what is being done. And then the regulatory agency, the Nigerian Upstream and Petroleum Regulatory Commission, that have been there ensuring that some of these reforms, or most of these reforms, are well implemented. I know that we are not actually, gotten it all through, but with what we have seen on ground, it calls for support, it calls for consolidation. We need to consolidate it and also appreciate all those that have been involved in ensuring that these reforms becomes a reality. We must also commend His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for all the initiatives he has also put in place to check some of those reforms and make sure that it is well implemented. So from what we are seeing, even local governments, states now are beginning to benefit from these reforms. With also the establishment of host community trust funds, it has become very easy for host communities to also begin to benefit from the PIA. So I think the implementations of these reforms is what we are seeing. We are also having, a robust budgetary allocations and then having it easier for us to finance because of the revenue that is being derived from the oil sector. And that is because we have, a regulatory leadership. We have visionary leadership. We have people that is, in leadership position that will not allocate oil blocks for themselves or allocate to their friends or even their enemies, as is, seems to be. But you now see that it goes to the real people, those that deserves it, or because we intend to boost our local, economy and to meeting up with even foreign investors while supporting our local contents.
Visionary leadership and transparency are key, of course. Still speaking on the PIA, they aim to commercialize the NNPC, turning it into NNPC Limited. How effective has this transformation been, first of all, in fostering an even more commercially oriented and profitable national oil company? What do you think?
Yes, the commercialization of the NNPC is to becoming a limited liability company is one of the reforms that also contained in the PIAs, and that has actually done us good as a nation. We are beginning to see that all hands are on deck to not monopolizing the whole issues or the whole process the way it were. But now we are seeing that the more of division of labors and there's checks and balances from all the regulatory agencies to ensure that what Party A is doing is in line or in tandem with what it's expected to be in the laws. What is our law? What is the position of what you are doing now? Does it, in any way contradict it? This is why these regulatory agencies, their existence is very important. And so the NNPC ought to be commercialized out from inception so that we can give room for that, productions and then see that transparent. And I think that transparency, and I think that the Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have seen that, yes, the commercialization of NNPC is something that should be done even years back. And we Nigerians are also beginning to see the true, positions of our oil and gas sectors. What exactly are we having now? Is it the same with what we used to have? We're beginning to experience, better flows of our oil. We're beginning to see investors coming in now. We're beginning to see more, oils are being, given to supplies to our local refineries. We're beginning to see all of that happening. And all is because of the checks and balances that have been put in place, with the regulatory agencies or the regulatory commissions.
Well, Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. It was a great discussion. Hope to have you back sometime soon. Jonathan Onoja.